Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to my presentation about understanding conflict. And today we are going to use the key stakeholders case scenario example to work off from to discuss conflict and how to handle that and different strategies and what the social worker's role in all of this could be. Let me click through here. All right. So, like I just said, we're going to use the case discussion and we're going to talk about the social worker's role in that. The conflict category. There's many categories of conflict that things can fall under in the social work realm or in any kind of conflict realm with relationships or anytime you're working with other people, conflict arises. And there's different strategies to approach that. So we're going to go through the steps and procedures that I would personally choose to forego given the situation, and then the collaboration efforts between the different entities involved. And then we'll also talk about how to balance that advocate slash empowerment role. And then I'll just explain my reasoning for why I chose all of these things. So as you can see here, I have a screenshot from the key stakeholders scenario discussion, the AI virtual meeting here. I have the four representatives, the HUD rep, the community member, the private sector, which is likely a real estate builder or a contractor of some sort, and then the local government official, which he said he was from the city. So just talking about that, the social worker advocacy efforts to support a task committee such as this one in moving for affordable housing. That's what the issue is here. That's what the conflict is that the city needs more affordable housing. That's what the community member is there to advocate for that. And the other three are there to see how can we make this happen. So the social worker role in this, in moving towards affordable housing, would likely include organizing community input to highlight urgent needs, such as getting more community members together, and then providing that expert testimony on the social and health impacts of housing security, collaborating with policymakers to develop equitable policies, raising public awareness through campaigns, and then connecting stakeholders such as residents, nonprofits, and government agencies to foster a coordinated approach, just like this meeting has already done here. This task committee is already well on their way to forming those relationships. Additionally, a social worker might offer data points that offer the benefits of affordable housing, and they might advocate for increased funding or resources. And one of their main goals is to ensure that marginalized populations, that their voices are heard and prioritized in the decision-making process, especially when it comes to affordable housing, because they're going to be the ones living there and paying for it. Um, as I said, there's different categories of conflict here. In our textbook, Generalist Practice with Organizations and Communities, the Empowerment series by Kirst Ashman and Hull Jr. write that structural conflicts are disputes arising from differences in such factors as power, time, resources, or physical or other environmental barriers. In this case, the conflict stems from structural issues, in my opinion, such as zoning laws, property market dynamics, funding allocations, and socioeconomic disparities that limit affordable housing options to marginalized populations. So the competing agendas are between the residents staying in these homes and the developers. So it's obviously presenting a need for someone or a group to step in and reform the current policies and structures in place to make the systemic change that's necessary a reality. As for conflict strategy, out of these four types, the negotiation, mediation, advocacy, or arbitration, I believe advocacy to be the most impactful one. Being an active strategy, advocacy includes engaging with community members, policymakers, and developers to highlight the urgency of affordable housing. Like I said earlier, social workers can bring data and backed with community member personal stories to sway the public opinion and gain support, while also lobbying for policy change or funding whatever's necessary to combine those resources to make this a reality. Advocacy as a conflict strategy aims to shift the power dynamics and to bring marginalized voices to the forefront, with the social worker acting as the facilitator during that to ensure equal opportunity for parties. The steps and procedures that I would begin with would overall just be establishing common ground between this task committee and between all entities that are there. Because the basis of establishing common ground within a task committee working towards this conflict issue of affordable housing lies in creating mutual understanding, shared goals, and a collaborative mindset among the diverse stakeholders, like the policymakers, the community members, advocates, developers, whoever may be involved. And this involves a lot of overlapping interests. Some people want money, some people just want somewhere to live, and some want to keep the peace, some want to follow the law at hand, and all of these things. But the purpose of establishing that common ground is pushing for collective benefits rather than just individual agendas, rather than just giving one person what they want and hurting the rest of the group. We're all going to be on the same page. We're all going to share those goals. So by building that trust through open communication and active listening skills and transparency, the social worker can work to build those bridges and foster a unified approach that is sustainable to address the complex issue that is affordable housing. So I just talked a little bit about this, but in order to collaborate effectively with organizations and communities on affordable housing advocacy and empowerment, I would first establish those strong relationships built on trust and transparency, as well as mutual respect by engaging members and leaders early in the process. So to do this, I would initiate public forums where the residents can come and speak their mind, and city officials can come and gain perspective and information from those people, ensuring that the concerns and aspirations and hopes and desires and all of that is heard. And then following that, partnering with local nonprofits, housing agencies, and advocacy groups, we would create campaigns or educational forums to kind of give the reasoning behind affordable housing, or like I said earlier, the data behind the benefits of it, but also the other side of things of why we can't have free housing for people, and why the developers would need some sort of profit to make it worth their while, those kinds of things. Next is the advocate empowerment balance. So as a social worker, they're both acting as an advocate for those marginalized populations, but also they're wanting to empower those clients and help them move forward and want to go and advocate for themselves and step up to that role. So to ensure a balance between the advocate role and the empowerment role for the social worker, it's essential to provide a client-centered focus and always remember that the client is the main goal here. And that's what social workers are called to do, is to help people. So this is an approach that emphasizes collaboration and respect, and it involves active listening to community members, their needs and concerns, and then advocating for systemic changes while also empowering those clients to develop their own skills, to attend those forums and to raise their hand, to go up to the podium, to ask those questions, to explain their side of things, and to do so in a respectful way so that their voices are taken into consideration with respect. And the social worker, like I said earlier, should also serve as a facilitator. They're helping communities and community entities to articulate their goals and navigate resources and all get on the same page so that we can all share resources. But at the same time, the social worker is also pushing to change the norm and to champion policy reforms and anything that can hold stakeholders accountable and following through on these promises or these hopes that they're committing to here. So by maintaining this balance, it's going to require the social worker to be flexible and to be practiced and well read on cultural competence, and a commitment to uphold the client's autonomy, ensuring that advocacy efforts supports empowerment rather than dependency. Lastly, here, as you can see, I've got listed here, my rationale for using this advocacy as a conflict strategy is based on the understanding that systemic issues like affordable housing require active intervention to influence the policies to make a true change. And it requires resource distribution and collaboration between community entities, and it's not a passive conflict strategy. Things get done with advocacy efforts. Advocacy empowers marginalized communities by amplifying their voices and pushing for structural changes, which is essential to resolving any conflict that's rooted in the justice system. Balancing the advocate empowerment roles involves ensuring that advocacy efforts do not overshadow the community, but instead they support and amplify the community to make it a better place to live and more happy residents and a happier town altogether. And this should serve to support the community's own goals and leadership too. And then lastly, by empowering clients, that's going to lead to outcomes and that's going to lead to a more fluid future for this town. And when it comes to making systemic changes, it's going to be backed by community-driven solutions that address both the residents' immediate needs and then the systemic barriers to kind of come together, bottle all the resources together to make that happen. So that's my reasoning for all of that. And here are my couple of resources. Thanks for watching.